Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. Today we have a jam-packed show, super relevant to the times. We have a rookie ADP check, checking in on the latest rookie ADP. I know we have a lot of super flex dynasties going on, a lot of regular dynasties, a lot of Devy league. We're not going to Devy today. Oh, hold on. We're not doing Devy today. Sorry, Justin. Got it. But we are talking rookie ADPs, a lot of movers, a lot of shakers. So before we get into all of that, I want to introduce my producer, my co-host, my BFF for life, Justin Bowerly. Don't let Dave hear that.
I'm telling Dave. I'm immediately telling Dave.
Don't let Dave. Listen, I have a epiphany, a revolution, right? A little, just now, actually. About a week ago, our boy Bobby at Finns Talk Sports Network, which we're live on right now at Finns Talk Sports Network, he posted a Twitter X, join Justin and Josh and OUSFF, and we left out Dave. We just totally left out Dave. Dave got upset. He's like, what the F? You know how Dave is. And we're like, oh. And I'm like, oh, crap. I have to make him feel in. We need to do a voiceover fix. We don't have producer Jacob in the read. Now, producer Jacob's not here. And we miss producer Jacob. But shouldn't he get some credit? Like, he does a lot of stuff.
He does. He gets credits in the little scrolling thing down there.
Jacob, just because you're not here doesn't mean I don't care for you.
Just watch. Give it like 10 seconds. It'll be there.
All right. I just want to make sure he's getting the credit he deserves. He's also taken over.
Boom, right there.
There we go. He's also taken over the draft, which I was supposed to commission. I totally just bailed. Something I do a lot. I mean, I apologize. I don't want to be commissioner of leagues. But speaking of that, we are in a ton, and I mean a ton of drafts right now. And I am overwhelmed between our new startup auction, between our started from the bottom where we're just drafting rookies. Justin, I don't know what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right. Someone make sense of this.
I was talking to somebody yesterday and again today because I was trying to fill a league because that's all I do these days is just fill leagues. And they were like, I'm in 3 leagues already. That's already enough. I'm like, I'm in 3 leagues I don't commish. I'm in 11 and I commish like 8 of them. So it's just... And that's nothing compared to you and some of the other people that we've had on here. And I'm done being a commissioner. I'm not commissioning any more leagues. I'm only joining leagues at this point. I'm not going to commission anymore.
No, it's rough though. But I do want to plug some things before we bring our guest in. Yes, we do have a guest, and yes, he's very knowledgeable. He's going to educate us and, of course, you, the listener, the viewer, on the rookies and the ADP and the risers and fallers. But before we get to that, make sure you follow us at OUSFF Pod on X, on Instagram. Are we still on the TikToks? Did I get us banned?
You got a shadow banned off of TikTok.
I got us banned off of TikToks. But if you want to go follow us there, just don't watch the Rashid Rice video. Just don't watch it. It's
YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, people still use Facebook, I guess. It is what it is. And go to our website, OUSFFpod.com, where you can sign up for Super League, where Justin is running that, and we're all going to be a part of it. It's going to be fun times. Justin, did you make your video on Super League, or do you want to do a live in-person promotion right now?
I will do a live in-person promotion, and then if we want to talk about it at the end of the show, once I get this, like uploaded, and like maybe I might be able to just like stall for just enough time to be able to get this in here, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I wasn't prepared. But yeah, okay. So Super League, charity fantasy football. It's a best ball league. All proceeds that we are raising is going to go straight to the Children's Miracle Network. Through a program called Extra Life. Each league is going to have like their own competition with all the other leagues, and whoever can raise the most money will figure something out for them, but they'll be super cool because it's the Super League. But yeah, you can register today at OUSFFPOD.com/Super League. So, or just go to the website and then click Super League at the top and register. If you're in the Tampa or Indianapolis area, we might do a live draft.
Might.
Or you can do a slow draft online. That's fine.
or the slow draft online. Listen, I just said I don't want to commission another league, so I'm gonna have to have Dave come in and help, or maybe we can recruit some guys. But do you want to bring in our guest? Because there's nothing really going on, no really news that I can really think about. We didn't make any interesting trades. Dave didn't get over on me. Nothing happened. But
no fantasy news.
I will say this, and then we'll bring our guest in. In our startup, Devi Dynasty Superflex 2-point per reception tight end league, which was ridiculous. Anthony Richardson went for the most money.
It's
anyone
1 point
out of anyone. Oh yeah, well it's 2 points per catch.
You get tight ends just get an extra point. Yeah,
so it's 2 points per catch for tight ends. That's exactly what I said. It's ridiculous.
Fine.
I didn't know that until halfway through the draft, so it's fine. It's cool. It is what it is. Anthony Richardson went for the most money. We did an auction. He went for like $1 bajillion.
To a Colts fan.
To a Colts fan, it is what it is. But meanwhile, other players like Mahomes went cheaper, which is ridiculous. Caleb Williams went for as much money as Mahomes, which is to me ridiculous. That's the beauty of auction drafts. And if you want to catch up more on auction drafts, make sure you go to our older shows. I think 2 shows ago, we broke down an auction draft and how it works. It's been very fun. Justin, it's been your first time. Before we bring Dustin in, I got to get to, how do you feel? Do you love it?
So we're in 2, 1 on Sleeper, 1 on my fantasy league. If we could just merge the 2 together, like the 2 different ways to do it, that would be perfect. I like the fact that there's an actual order in Sleeper and how you bid and nominate and stuff, or just nominate. You don't bid in order. But MFL being able to nominate literally a million people at a time was actually a lot better.
Perfect. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest, Dustin Ludke, content director for Dynasty Pros and a contributor for the quarterback list. Follow him on X at the D Unit 13, not the Done It 13, the D Unit. Justin, before you were born, there was like a rap group called the G Unit.
I know who G Unit is. When do you think I was born? How old do you think I am?
You look like you're fresh out of the college, 23, 24.
That's the plastic surgery for you. I got to get the Botox and the facelifts for the show, So all the money that we make at OUS.
All the money. Too much money.
All the money.
So Dustin, how you been, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. You guys said there was no fantasy news, but there is some NFL news. 2026 NFL draft will be in Pittsburgh officially. So we have Green Bay next year, Pittsburgh the year after. So that's exciting if you live in the Pittsburgh area.
Or in the Midwest. I mean,
or anywhere in the Midwest.
That's only like a 5-hour drive for me.
I personally think Pittsburgh will break Detroit's attendance records. I'm putting that out there now.
Have any of you been to a draft?
I've been to the past 2.
How is it? I heard I heard bad and good things.
It's amazing. So I go with media credentials, so I get to go and sit in the press room and talk to the players and sit in they have a media room. So Friday we just sat in there and watched on the big screen and talked football, and there's 80 people in there. They give you free food. It's awesome. There's so many other events that people don't know about that happen Wednesday, Thursday, even Friday morning that you can go do and you can interact with different players. I got to interact with Sam Laporta and Drake May one-on-one just there at some event with Lowe's doing stuff. There's so much you can do with as media. Even if you just go as a fan, it's so cool to just see 200,000 NFL fans all in one place from every team, every part of the country just there to celebrate football and get along, right? Like you'll see Bills fans and Dolphins fans just having a beer together, right? You'll see in Detroit, it was all Lions fans. You see a Bears fan, you think they would hate them, but they go, boo, but then they just get along because they're all excited for the draft. So I highly recommend going to it if you are somewhere close by. I think Pittsburgh being so close, it's within a 6-hour drive of 11 NFL franchises and an 8-hour drive of 3 other ones. So 14 NFL franchises within an 8-hour drive, which is really doable for a weekend trip.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I've been to the combine the last 3 years, which has been pretty cool too. Very similar experiences where you have fans from all over the place and nobody really gets into fight. It's a cool experience. So
I love how you both are amazed that no one humans aren't fighting.
When you have Detroit on Thursday night had 275,000 people. When you have that many people in one area drinking, who it's late at night, so they've been probably drinking a good chunk of the day, right? It's Thursday, it's an all-day event, and you don't hear of any fights. That's pretty good. That's pretty amazing. And when you have 700 and 700,000 plus over 3 days, and you hear of no incidences, that's really good.
And we're talking about like the craziest football fans, the ones that go to an NFL draft, not a game, like a draft.
Yeah, I will
Like,
say there were
these
some
are
people.
insane fans.
There's some people in Detroit who like went just to check it out. I was there with my cousin. We went out Saturday night for her birthday, and she was just saying like her friends like, yeah, we stopped down for an hour or two just to see what it was, and they walked around. Don't know much about football, but it is a spectacle. But yeah, when you have that many people that packed in and they're excited and they're disappointed because maybe their team didn't take, and they all get along, that's really impressive to me.
Sure is. So let's move on from the NFL draft. I'm glad Pittsburgh is getting something. I've never been up there. I've been to Detroit one time in my life. Dustin, I ramble too much. So if I'm just talking too much, just tell me to shut up. I appreciate it. I went to Detroit one time, WrestleMania.
Okay.
WrestleMania. It was freaking awesome. It was Ford Field. I was amazed about how Ford Field was right next to the other baseball field. And here in Tampa, they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a scattered S show over here. You got to cross a bridge over here. You got to fight 3 hours of traffic on Dale Mabry just to get Raymond James. I would love to live in a city one day where it's all there. Is that
Philly's the same way. I grew up outside Philadelphia, and all the major stadiums are all literally right next to each other. So it's the baseball park, the Link, it's the I don't know, whatever they're calling the place where the Sixers and the Flyers play. Like they're all literally next to each other, like across the street. So it's really cool, especially when you have a baseball game in the morning, then a basketball game at night or something like that. You have these kind of double headers, triple headers at times. Sometimes you'll have baseball game, you'll have a basketball game in the morning, hockey game at night, and they'll have to like retweet it, and they'll have just kind of rotate through for the weekend. So it's really cool. It is really nice when you have big cities that can pack everything there. It makes it super easy. You know where you're going no matter what, and they kind of build the city around it a little bit at some point.
Love
It's
it.
kind of how Indianapolis is on a
Yep,
smaller
it's the
scale.
same way.
We have Lucas Oil. Then on the opposite street of what we built the Super Bowl Village for is our basketball stadium.
Yep.
Right by Lucas Oil, we also have our minor league baseball and soon to be our minor league soccer stadiums. The convention center's right there, so everything connects to all the hotels. So everything is able to just you can get from your hotel in the middle of the city to inside Lucas Oil without ever having to step outside, which is really cool.
Which is super nice. That's why the Combine will never leave Indy, because they never have to go outside if they don't want to.
That is awesome. I just tweeted about that. I was at Busch Gardens. I'm like, it's hot. We need to be inside. Theme parks need to be domed. Anyway,
dome them all.
Let's get to some rookie drafts. We're all in a bajillion of them. Dustin, I'm curious, how many rookie drafts have you done? How many are you in currently? How many do you have in the future?
Now cover your ears. I'm only have 3 leagues. So I did one. We have another one coming up, and then the other one is really just my family redraft. So I have 1 rookie draft done, 1 rookie draft coming up. I used to be in a ton of leagues. I used to be in 8-9 leagues, and it just became too much with my wife and then me trying to do this stuff on the side. So I just kind of bowed it. Now I'm still in the Scott Fish Bowl and Warrior Bowl, and it sounds like I'm going to have to sign up for the Super League. I love doing charity leagues and stuff like that, but the leagues I focus on, I'm in 2 dynasty leagues that are my main leagues.
It takes a lot of constraint, because when someone throws out like an orphan or hey, we're doing a startup, I used to be the guy like, hey, I'm in.
Yeah.
But now
we have guys like that now in these 2 new leagues that we started too. Yes. It was like, yeah, I'm in, let's go. It's so hard when like somebody gets an idea of like, oh, let's do this league, but like make it like this, and you're like, I'm in.
That's what happened. I was in a keeper league, and a bunch of us wanted to do a dynasty league, and another guy was like, hey, I'm starting one, and he got like 3 or 4 of us to join this dynasty league, and we've been in it for a couple years. So you guys didn't have a trade. Can I throw a trade by you guys? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
sure.
So this league is basically it's 2 quarterbacks plus a super flex, so you can start 3 quarterbacks. I only have Patrick Mahomes. Is the only quarterback I have that's actually starting. I have Tommy DeVito and Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. I have no one really left. Yeah, not great for a league where you can start 3. So I offered a guy who has Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, and he has CJ Stroud. I offered him Mahomes for Stroud and the 106. He has countered with Stroud, the 206, and the 506 for Mahomes. What are your thoughts?
you're not getting another quarterback with that draft pick, so you're really just trading Stroud for Mahomes, and then
Yeah,
some
so
bench player.
I get a little younger. Yeah, that's why I want the
Yeah.
106 for I have at least a shot at another quarterback.
Yeah.
I currently have the 104 and 109. So if I get 106, theoretically, I could double up at 104 and 106, get 2 quarterbacks, and have 3 quarterbacks.
And
So
I'm
here's-
assuming with a league that you can start 3 quarterbacks, it's going to be the first 6 picks are going to be the 6 quarterbacks.
Probably.
Even
I mean, there might.
you're only getting Michael Penix. So
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison probably gets thrown in there. There might be a team that needs a wide receiver and has a quarterback. I'm looking at the draft team now. So 103 has Burrow, Cousins, Daniel Jones. So he might be fine with 3 there. He might not draft one. 101's probably drafting someone. They do have Lamar, Anthony Richardson, and that's pretty much it. They have Taysom Hill, which they can throw in there in their flex. But yeah, that's my thoughts. So thoughts on that trade? Should I just keep Mahomes, or is it worth trading Mahomes for CJ Stroud? And if I get the 106,
So okay, I have Mahomes in a league where I'm trying to move him as well. And my first thought was, is CJ Stroud really that far off from Mahomes? And that sounds crazy. Yeah, exactly. But it sounds crazy to the casual listener, the casual viewer. No, like Stroud can be up there with him because of the weapons he has and the offense they run over there. So really, for the person that you're trying to get Stroud from, what's that person's incentive to go, yeah, I'll give you 106 and Stroud, who's probably like what, a half a point per game difference or 0.8, whatever it may be. So if you can get that, of course, slam it. Now on the flip side, you're like, well, I can get 506. And really, you're trading 1 for 1 in my eyes. There's not much of a difference.
Because 206 and 506 are nothing.
But you're still getting those assets, but straight up. So it depends on how are you feeling about Mahomes. Do you think he's that much better than Stroud, or do you think they're kind of similar? That's how I would assess it. Because like we just did a startup where Stroud went for as much as Mahomes almost, where people are valuing him up there.
Yeah.
Why let me ask you this. Would you shoot lower and maybe get like a middle? Maybe someone's down on Herbert and you're like, maybe I can get Herbert plus more.
I could. So the guy who has Herbert does have Herbert, Tua, and Love, and Aiden O'Connell. So he might be willing to trade a Herbert or a Love for Mahomes, and he has the 105 and the 108. I've since countered with him, and I said Mahomes plus, I think I offered him the 405 for Stroud and the 106, and we'll see what he says. But I was trying to throw this out there, like, what should I do?
I would love, the Stroud and the 106 side's awesome. What is this? Would you be able to get?
It was confirming what Dustin just said, is offering your later round pick to get that first round pick.
Yeah, and so I do also have the 109, so I could theoretically try to like parlay. That was my thought. If I can't get a 106 or 105, parlay the 109, and maybe I have the 204 up into the 105, 106 range straight up and keep Mahomes. I need to walk out of the draft with 2 quarterbacks either way because I don't have enough.
That's rough. Supply demand. Like
I think it's even whether you get CJ Stroud or Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be the same. I think the focus here is going to be getting earlier into that in that first round, especially in a league you can start 3 quarterbacks to get that other quarterback. So maybe parlaying your 109 and 204 to get up, maybe with one of the guys that has 2 or 3 quarterbacks that can start already, and might accept a 109 to get one of like Neighbors or a Dunze or something like that.
Yeah. So
it's tough going into drafts needing, like, I'm drafting for need. Isn't that like the most awful feeling in the world?
It is the most awful. It's awful because I've done pretty well developing my team. I just haven't, like, I have Javonte Williams, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, I have Kyron Williams, I've got Amon St. Brown, Tank Dell, Puka Nacua, Khalil Shakir. So I'm set in those positions. Tight end, not so much. I have Greg Dulcich, who I'm hoping to carry my team. But quarterback really sunk me because I had Sam Howell, Jimmy G last year, and then that all just fell apart real fast.
real fast.
Real fast.
Real quick. Josh in the chat, he's Jaden Daniels is the quarterback to get.
That's the one I would like to get.
That's the one I would like to get to.
I'd love to get him. I mean, I'm out on Caleb, but I would love to get Daniels, even Drake. If I could walk out with Jaden Daniels and Drake May, I'd be super happy.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal. You have them over. You have May over JJ McCarthy.
I probably would take, seeing as my team is young enough where I can kind of retool this year, I would take Daniels for the rushing upside for future years. I think McCarthy has a better first year.
I agree with all that. So I can't believe you're in little leagues. I'm jealous of you, by the way. The reason why I don't quit is because I'm not a quitter. And when I feel bad if I leave like a league and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm out. Peace. I tried to leave a league this year and they're like, Josh, don't go. My team is, I don't want to like brag, but like it's freaking awesome. I'm like, guys, you'll fill the spot. But they didn't want me to leave, so I freaking stayed. And
just start selling your rosters to the highest bidder.
I just,
like
I
this is a guarantee
like
win right here. Like
the way Dustin described that trade and how like in depth he is in on it, like I wish I was in that like that with my leagues. I'm still like, okay, like here's a trade offer, either counter, reject, or whatever, move on to the next league. And I'm not really thinking about it. So that's the disadvantage of having 1,000 leagues.
Yeah, I've got spreadsheets for all my leagues and they're color coded. I color code each team and I keep track of the moves every year. I have this whole like who has what, so I can see where I stack up and who might need what. So I'm pretty in depth with it. That's why I can't do a ton of leagues, because I get so into. That's why I can't do IDP. I'm so in the weeds with this. If you add more to it, it just becomes too much.
IDP, Justin. You made
this
that.
This is gonna be the death of me, man. This is gonna be the death of me this year.
You're gonna be all. I say you look 22, 24 next season when we roll this off season. He's gonna be like 50, wrinkles all over his face. He's been through a lot.
Be like every president after like 2 years of being the president.
Yeah, just gray hair and just.
All right, let's get into some ADP. So in round one, if you drafted early, you were getting some either deals or maybe not. What are the biggest surprises from round one that you've seen, Dustin? Some risers, some fallers. What's going on in round one?
Yeah, my biggest surprise for me is Brian Thomas. He's currently ADP 7, and he's the wide receiver 5. I find it really hard that he's going that high, because to me, he has the worst pathway to being relevant. He's probably behind. Now, I think he's behind Christian Kirk. I think he's behind Evan Ingram in terms of target depth chart. I think he's battling with Gabe Davis and Travis Etienne. So at best, he's 3rd. At worst, he's 5th on that target depth chart. I just don't see how you can take him over guys like a Ladd McConkey, a Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, who are higher on their depth of targets. Like they're going to get more targets and like they're higher in the pecking order. It just seems he's going that high. I get the profile, but if you look at his college, 2023, he had a ton of touchdowns. What happened the year before? He had like 2. And so in 2022, when he didn't have a ton of touchdowns in college, I went back and was like, what changed? Same quarterback. The only thing left is Keyshawn Boutte left. So he stepped into more targets. Now they had a better passing offense. So if you're telling me he couldn't beat out Keyshawn Boutte in 2022, who we've seen be booty in the NFL.
Boutte.
Yeah, like is it a skill thing or was it just an opportunity thing for you in college? That gives me some pause with Brian Thomas. I originally wanted the Bills to get him. They didn't. I'm happy he didn't. I just don't see him being wide receiver 5 for me.
I had no rebuttal to that because I've been taking him everywhere. I'm not going to lie. And strictly for the fact that I look at the other people you named and I'm like, okay, Coleman probably has the best opportunity, obviously. Best path to the wide receiver 1. But as a Dolphins fan and stubbornness, I refuse to draft him. Right. Just to me, he's automatically X for me. Then I'm looking at Ladd. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Path to greatness, path to number 1. There's really not much competition there. But just Brian Thomas, you heard his name all offseason. And I'm not really, and I'll say this up front, and everyone listening knows, I'm not the rookie guy. I'm in a lot of dynasty leagues, but I count on guys like you and other people to guide me on my picks. And I've been hearing Brian Thomas. So it's been baked in my head, but now it's been flipped. And I see the flip in my drafts because earlier Thomas was going that high. Now he's slipping into the second round, 201, 202, 203.
Yeah.
Whereas guys as Coleman are climbing up and Jonathan Brooks, he's been the biggest riser for me. Have you seen him rise at all?
He has. I mean, it's definitely in that realm of, and I think a lot of it depends on team build. Like, do you need a running back? If so, you're taking Jonathan Brooks. If you don't, then maybe you go with an Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas. But Jonathan Brooks, I think, has climbed up there where everybody goes, hey, Carolina wants to run the ball, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But Carolina wants to run the ball, and Jonathan Brooks is that guy for them. Now, it sounds like he's going to be ready for the start of the season. They drafted him as if he's going to be ready. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Got it. Justin, you got anything? You can be quiet.
I'm dealing with some technical difficulties over here. But Brian Thomas and Jonathan Brooks are probably the 2 risers. Maybe even Xavier Worthy of this draft, because a couple weeks ago you're seeing these guys at the end of the first round. Now they're right there in the middle. So hype is getting up about them. I'm surprised, honestly, to see Jaden Daniels as low as 9 right now.
Yeah.
Even not being in the super flex, I think he has the best fantasy. He's going to be the better fantasy quarterback overall, which is insane that he's 9 and what he's still QB2. So super flex, you're saying him going to go top 3, probably even maybe top 4, but to see him as low as 9. Lad sneaking into the first round. He's been like an early second round pick. So guys are rising up. I'm curious as we get it more indie here to see the guys that were first rounders that are now falling out of the first round into the second. I definitely agree with the Brian Thomas Jr. stuff though. Like, yeah, he was good. We've seen this all the time in college, and then they get to the pros, and the guy for Jonathan Mingo is another one of those guys. Is like, oh my god, this guy is amazing. What has Jonathan Mingo done? Like he's like what, wide receiver 5 on the Panthers now? On the Panthers, who have
Panthers,
nobody.
Well, and that's the thing, and Trevor Lawrence is what? I think Trevor Lawrence is just mid. Like I think he's a 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Like QB 15. Like even if what's the best case scenario for Brian Thomas? He does what Calvin Ridley did last year, which was wide receiver 18. He had 8 touchdowns, like 76 receptions. Like that's not a high ceiling for Brian Thomas, and I don't think Trevor Lawrence can feed him that much with all the other weapons they have. So,
Josh, I think Dustin went back and listened to every episode of our podcast before because I agree with you.
I've been saying it for 2 years that Trevor Lawrence is mid, and no one. And literally, I released an article maybe last year mid-season. And people are like, "Oh, you're just a hater," and I go, "Cool." Now everyone's coming around like, "Yep, he's probably just mid."
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Dave would disagree, but early mid seasons when like I made my turn, I'm like, this guy's just a dinker and dunker. There's nothing special about him. He had phenomenal games. The year he made the playoffs and beat the Chargers in the playoffs, those games were against bad defenses. He went nuts. There's Justin Fields effect, by the way, when he went on his crazy stretch. Yeah, I'm with you. I made a whole video about how like Lawrence is so bleh, but I'm still taking Thomas. But I'm done taking Thomas now. Like, by the way, guys, I stopped taking him 2 drafts ago. I've moved on. I've moved on to the greener pastures. I want to get your philosophy on super flex leagues, quarterback versus receiver. In this case, Caleb Williams versus Marvin Harrison. I see like it's either, remember when Twilight came out, Justin was like 4. They had Team Jacob. Right? Or team. Who was the other guy? I don't even know the other guy. Edward. Of course he would know. Edward and Jacob. This is how I feel right now. Like I'm a lot of, you got to take Harrison. He's the best player overall. You got to take Caleb, quarterback's king in super flex. Where do you lie on this? I think it goes back and forth year to year.
I think it goes back year to year. I think you make the case because super flex quarterbacks are so needy. But this year I'm taking Marvin Harrison because I have Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors as a tier above the rest of wide receivers, where I have Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy all in the same tier. So you're telling me there's only 2 guys in one tier and 4 in the same. Like if they're all in the same tier, supply and demand says I need to take a wide receiver. So I'm taking a wide receiver first. I think you can get a quarterback later. I think you can get a quarterback next year. I think this top end wide receiver doesn't come around very often. You look at Marvin Harrison's going to walk into Arizona and be the number 1 guy with a really good quarterback. You look at Malik Garrett is going to be the number 1 guy with a bad quarterback, but no competition whatsoever. So I'm okay taking Marvin Harrison over Caleb Williams this year. And if you don't need a quarterback, the value is there to trade back. And I think you just have to, you don't take a guy just because he's the best, supposedly the best quarterback to ever come out. I think you have to play by ear. I did it last year. I needed a quarterback and I traded back because I knew I could get one later. Like I had the 101 and I was like, okay, I'll trade back. Let someone else take Bryce Young. And I moved back and still got CJ Stroud in the league and picked up a bunch of assets. So it's not, I don't think it's ever a dead set. You have to take it. I get it. The positional value in quarterback, but supply and demand for me is where it's at. And this year the supply for wide receivers is a lot less.
I agree 1000%. Although I'm a fraud. I've been saying it since day one. Take Marvin Harrison. In a league, I took Caleb 101, but there's a reason. There's a reason. I was trying to trade 101 for Stroud straight up because the person wanted Harrison, and I said, "Listen, here's the deal. You want Harrison? That's fine. I want Stroud." That was the deal. Now, he thought I was bluffing. I didn't take Harrison, by the way. I took Caleb because he couldn't get to 2 either. So I said, "Listen, buddy, if you want this pick, come. I'm going to
Go
take
get it.
Caleb, and you're not going to get Harrison because the guy below me is a huge Harrison guy.
Yeah.
He didn't do it, but I have people that want Caleb, so I'm like, you know what? Because they wanted to trade up for 101 for Caleb.
Yeah.
I took it for strategic reasons. He will not be on my team in the next month. Sometimes I do that because whatever.
Well, when you're in like 50 leagues, you can do that, right? Like you can
do
mess
that.
around. You can mess around a bunch of leagues.
You can, but this league is I'm dead, guys. I'm freaking dead. My team's awful, but it is what it is. But I feel like it's a seesaw system where 1 year we gotta take the receiver. That receiver fails or whatever. Oh, we gotta take the quarterback now. Justin Herbert gets taken like 109 in the super flex. Oh, now we gotta take these guys super high, right? Take the guys super high like Zach Wilson or whoever. They fail. Done with those guys.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud gets picked up 109, like you said. Got to go back. Like it's a seesaw system. We just don't learn.
No, I mean last year was Bijan or Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, right? Like that was the question last year, and I was going take whatever your team needs and don't be locked in just because it's super flex.
Yeah, I agree with that. Justin, I got a question for you, buddy. Yeah. Where are you taking Brock Bowers? This is tough. I've seen him go from 103 to 112. I've seen everything.
I have been trying, if he's not taken by the 7th or 8th pick, I'm trying to get into like the 8th or 9th pick to take him. So far I've done 2 rookie drafts, I think, so far this year. And I think he went like 9 or 10. That's where I feel comfortable with him right now, only because he's in Las Vegas. And I don't even know what to do with that offense right now. I know Gardner Minshew likes tight ends, but he also likes to spread the ball around. We don't know what Aiden O'Connell's really going to do with that offense. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. I mean, it's Devontae Adams and Michael Mayer and Jacoby Myers, and now Brock Bowers. Don't
forget Zamir White.
And Zamir White and Dylan. I'm so annoyed that the Raiders took Brock Bowers. They take Michael Mayer last year in the 2nd round and Brock Bowers this year. Brock Bowers is a stud though. So I've seen him as early as 6. That's where he got taken in shit show. But I've seen him go like 9 or 10.
If Kyle Pitts wasn't a failure for his own fault or someone else's, would Brock Bowers be a little bit higher on everyone's rankings? Because we don't want to get burned again. The worst feeling in the world is getting burnt.
That's the problem. Kyle Pitts was the generational tight end. He was the guy you take 101, 102. And what has that done? Nothing. Yeah. So everybody's afraid to get burned again on Bowers, which Pitts is turning it around. Like he had a good season, then he had a bad season. What?
Turning around. When was the turn? Just because they signed Kirk Cousins, that's not a turnaround. You just signed somebody.
I didn't say just because
let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Listen, I'm a Kyle Pitts truther.
He was tight end 6 his rookie season.
Yeah, he went from 33 and then now he's
33. Now he's back up to 13. He turned it around twice.
Okay, all right.
You were the guy telling us to pick. You were the guy telling us to get Jonnu Smith, and I was the guy in week 3 saying drop Kyle Pitts. We are a Kyle Pitts hater show. We are.
Well,
I'm a Kyle Pitts hater.
Kyle Pitts hater show. You kept pushing me on to Kyle Pitts. I gave him another chance, and then he failed me again. But no, Brock Bowers is going to be good. It's just going to be. He might not be good this year, but he will be good, I think.
Dustin,
I'll tell you where I would take Brock Bowers, and that's with the 1st pick in the 2nd round. I wouldn't take him any higher. Even if he has all of the tight end targets from last year, he only would have 71 targets in that offense. That's what Austin Hooper and Michael Mayer had last year as tight ends for the Raiders. That's not good. Michael Mayer is still there. I can't see how Brock Bowers is being drafted so high. I don't think people have learned their lesson from Kyle Pitts. I think they're just going, oh, that was Arthur Smith's problem. They just go, oh, they just keep blaming other people instead of realizing that this is what I said about Kyle Pitts on a podcast maybe 6 months ago. He's not a unicorn. He is a donkey with a ice cream cone taped to his head. Wow. Right? You think he's a unicorn, but he's not. And donkeys are still useful. They're just not unicorns. They're just a donkey. Wow. It's okay. Just admit the fact that Kyle Pitts is always going to be tight end 12, 15, somewhere in that range. That's where I think Michael Mayer should be. I think Brock Bowers could get there, but I don't see it in this offense right now. There's not enough target volume for those tight ends with Michael Mayer. It's very similar to Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid for the Bills last year. They're just not enough targets. They're going to eat enough of each other's target share that neither of them are going to be valuable. I think that's going to be Brock Bowers. I don't think we've learned our lesson from Kyle Pitts. I think it's going to happen again with Brock Bowers. He's going to go at ADP. I think he's like 4th right now off the board.
4 right now, yeah.
Which is crazy to me. He should fall so hard, so fast, because people just haven't learned. And what's going to happen is he's going to go out there. He's going to have a middling season. Unless Michael Mayer or someone else gets hurt, then he'll have a couple good. Same thing happened with Dalton Kincaid. He was meh. And then Dawson Knox got hurt and he had 3 or 4 good games. Then Dawson Knox came back and he was meh again. And everybody hasn't learned that situation matters. You can be as athletic as you want to be, and you can put up all these college productions. When you get to a team that doesn't focus on the tight ends, you're just not going to produce for fantasy. We're going to get burnt. People are going to get burnt by Brock Bowers again. I'm out.
Love it. I will say this. One rebuttal. I don't like it, and I know it's a thing. I don't like they had 67 tight end targets last season, or there's 182 vacated targets.
Yeah.
It's not the same team. It's not the same year. If we look at Kirk Cousins' career, he threw the ball to the tight end 0 times before TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
So, but TJ Hawkinson came in and changed that offense. It became the TJ Hawkinson show. Like, it revolved around him and Justin Jefferson. Yeah. So they could. I'm not saying they will. They could cater that offense towards a Brock Bowers and a Devontae Adams and kind of mirror the same thing. Not saying they will.
They could. But it's not like Michael Mayers is a slouch. Post-combine, headed into the draft, we were saying Michael Mayer was the number 1 tight end in that draft class last year. That was the talk. It was him, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, right? That was, and Luke Musgrave. That's what we were talking about, combine to draft. Now, obviously, draft capital changed a lot of things, but Michael Mayer was not a slouch. Like, he's still a really good tight end.
That's another thing people are being... Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, could we see I hate to say this, but Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez comparison, though? I mean, if you have 2 very stud tight ends playing, I hate mentioning Aaron Hernandez in general, but
and Gronk,
they were both really, really good at the same time on the same team. So, I mean,
possibly that's what everybody wants to have happen with all these tight ends. Like, we wanted it with Gesicki and Hunter Henry. We wanted it with Pitts and whoever, Hayden Hurst, whoever was there, or John Smith. Like, we've always wanted it. We just haven't seen it. We want it with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. It just doesn't happen. I think the Gronk Hernandez thing was a one-off. I think people got hip to it, and then it just kind of fell apart.
Well, they both came in as rookies at the same year. So that also helps with development.
The thing is we see something one time, and we think it can duplicate. And it's the Sam Laporta effect. He came in as a rookie and dominated. Tight end 1. So people are like, oh, it's that easy nowadays. It used to be 3-4 years before they were good. Now these players are coming in, becoming good right away, like a Sam Laporta. And people think Bowers is going to do the same. He might. Listen, I'm not touching him. I'm done with tight ends. Kyle Pitts has hurt me too much. And if I could find a Trey McBride in the 3rd round, like I did in many drafts 2 years ago, I'll do that. I'll do that over the, I wasn't taking Mayer 1st or 2nd round. I wasn't. Because I don't want to take a tight end high anymore. Anyway, let's get into that 2nd round. There's a lot of 2nd round value in there. I see that a lot of people are trading down to the 2nd round to add more assets. They'd rather trade their late 1st round to get 2 mid-2nd round picks. Are you in that camp, Dustin? Is there a lot of value there? And who are we targeting in the 2nd round?
There is. The guy I'm targeting is Roman Wilson. I think out of the receivers in this group, if you look at Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette, you're looking at Adonai Mitchell, Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk, Jermaine Burton. Roman Wilson has the clearest path to targets. He'll be number 2 for Pittsburgh in terms of wide receivers. Now, where does he fall in the overall depth chart? He's clearly going to be behind George Pickens, but can he beat out Pat Freiermuth? Probably. Can he beat out Najee Harris or Jalen Warren? Probably. Legette's probably 3rd or 4th. Ricky Pearsall's 4th or 5th. Jalen Polk is maybe 2 on a really bad offense. I don't know. Like, Jermaine Burton's definitely 3 behind Chase and Higgins. Like, I just think Roman Wilson, what he did in college, how sure-handed he is, how good of a safety blanket he is over the middle. That's a guy I'm looking for to go out there and get in the 2nd round. And he's going right now at 207, like wide receiver 11. I think I have him as high as wide receiver 6 in my rankings at times. I just think the pathway to opportunity is so much there for him. With Russell Wilson, who has always supported 2 good wide receivers, Lockett and DK Metcalf. Even Sutton and Judy last year, even though they were banged up, like they still had good years. So I think Roman Wilson can be the guy. I think he can fill that Tyler Lockett role for Russell Wilson. I don't think Justin Fields gets on the field, but I think it's going to be Russell Wilson all year. So I think it's going to be a good year. That's who I'm moving back for is Roman Wilson. If I can move back out of the first, if I can pick up 2 seconds, that's the guy I'm going for.
That's a common consensus, I think, is that nobody believes Russell Wilson will be the quarterback for Pittsburgh for 17 games this year.
I think he will. I think he's good enough. The problem is he has no contract, right? So they have no incentive to not play him, right? Because he's getting paid the league minimum. They're not picking up Justin Fields' 5th-year option. So what's the incentive to play? Like maybe if they're doing really bad,
they have no incentive to also play him either. I mean, that's
True.
the thing is that like they're not going to lose anything. They're not even paying his contract really this year. So
but I wonder, is there a compensatory picks if Justin Fields signs elsewhere next year? And I think there is. So you run the risk if you play Justin Fields, let's say the last 2 or 3 games and he gets injured, then does that screw you in a compensatory pick because someone's not signing him, as high? So I think Russell Wilson is good enough. If Russell Wilson didn't have the massive contract that he had, he would have started all 17 games for Denver last year. It's not like he's a bad quarterback. They benched him for contract reasons. So I think Russell Wilson can play all 17 games for Pittsburgh. And even if it's Justin Fields, like he can still support 2 moderately talented, good receivers.
Hey, DJ Moore's stats were way better when Justin Fields played.
Yeah, Justin Fields, he supported DJ Moore,
Mm-hmm.
but he really couldn't really support Donovan, who was injured, and they had Cole Kmet, like didn't have anybody else. So I think Justin Fields can support 2 receivers. I think Roman Wilson, especially if it's Justin Fields, I think it's a bump because Justin Fields is going to look for someone a little more sure-handed than a George Pickens who's running 9 routes all the time and will get frustrated and punch someone or something. Who knows what George Pickens is going to do.
See, this is why I love that you're here, because dumb mind goes, man, Roman Wilson, Pittsburgh, they always draft studs. I'm taking Roman Wilson. Like that's my entire thought process. Yeah. And you actually break it down for us. So I know that's a good pick because I've been taking them places only because of Pittsburgh. Literally, I draft per team. I'm like, oh yeah, they pick up good running backs. All right,
they do. Pittsburgh has a history of drafting good wide receivers and developing them.
Just no laugh.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing about Roman Wilson still. I
trust the process.
I'm not on the same boat as everybody else on Roman Wilson, I think.
So who are you taking? I know who you're taking, but tell the listeners, who are you taking in the second round at the wide receiver position?
My favorite one in this round is actually Jalen Polk. I've traded up to get Jalen Polk. Actually, in the 3rd round, at the beginning of the 3rd round, he fell. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is growing on people. Again, he's got Debo currently, and Ayuk currently in front of him. But Ricky Pearsall apparently also plays like the same style as Debo does. So what says they don't just go with the new guy instead of playing Debo, and they actually eventually do ship out Debo. Ricky, I don't like him at 201 though. I would rather get him later in the 2nd round. I think his stock has gone way, way, way up. That to me is crazy. But Polk is probably my favorite guy in this round, next to Jalen Wright. Again, this list not being a super flex list is messing with me because Drake May at 204 to me is absolutely bananas. The fact that he's like below Trey Benson and Keon Coleman and Ladd McConkey in general formats, that's wild to me still. But my favorite 2 would be Polk and who did I say? Jalen Wright right here.
Yeah, if I can walk out of the 2nd round with Polk, Roman Wilson, I like a Blake Corum over Jalen Wright a little more. A Drake May. If I can get Ricky Pearsall at the end of the 2nd round, I'm happy for him. Because I can sit him for a year, throw him on my taxi squad. Maybe there's injury. Maybe they make a midseason trade. He's going to be good for the future. His pathway this year is not there for me. So that's why I'm looking for someone who's going to get a little more immediate impact than someone I have to wait a year for in the 2nd round, especially at the top of the 2nd round at 201.
So you teased Jonathan Brooks earlier. You said we get to it later, and I've been waiting for this since you said that. Now, a lot of running backs are going in the 2nd round. You have Jalen Wright, Blake Corum, who's Justin's favorite player of all time, Marshawn Lloyd, and of course, Jonathan Brooks kind of flirts in that area. Speak a little bit about Jonathan Brooks and that usage over there in Carolina, as he's going to be the best player. We know that. And tell me who the second best running back in this draft is.
So here's the problem here's not the problem, but here's what's going on with Jonathan Brooks. Carolina wants to run the ball, and this is why I don't understand Xavier Legette at 202. He's behind Thielen, Deontay Johnson, and then you have Jonathan Brooks on the team. Sorry, let me plug in my computer real quick.
And
That
Jonathan
wants
Mingo.
to run the ball. Jonathan Brooks, he's going to be the bell cow. He just has to beat out Chuba Hubbard. Okay, how hard is that? Chuba Hubbard's not that good. Miles Sanders is even going to make the squad. He wasn't that good. So Jonathan Brooks is a clear path to being the bell cow guy. Now, the question with Jonathan Brooks is he going to start week 1? Sounds like he is. They may take some time off, maybe ease him in. If they put him on the pup, he'd miss the first 4 or 6 weeks. I think if he's ready, they're going to play him, and they're going to kind of just run him into the ground. They've built this team to take all the pressure off Bryce Young and give him weapons. When he does have to throw, they give him a ton of weapons to succeed. But we could see in theory, we could see a team at the end of the year where they go, we're moving on from Bryce Young. Adam Thielen's done. We're going to build around Jonathan Brooks for the future. And he's just the way to go. And he could be the next Saquon Barkley for us for the next 3-4 years.
I love that, Justin. That makes me feel good about picking up all these Jonathan Brooks. Now, my second question, my follow-up, if you can't get Brooks, you need a discount. You need running back bad. There's a lot of guys out there in the second round. Who are we looking at? It's going to be the next guy to pop off. I know Benson's a huge, everyone wants Benson, but speak on that. Is Benson the clear number 2?
If you want a guy for this year, no. If you want a guy for the future, yes. Trey Benson is the guy. James Conner is old. Michael Carter's on the team. James Conner and Michael Carter are both free agents after this year, so there's no one in front of Trey Benson. It depends on what you think of Arizona's running game. James Conner has kind of been a plotter there. He's just kind of been a volume guy, so can Trey Benson be there? If I'm looking for a guy this year, it's Blake Corum. I think Kyron Williams is always going to be on the odd man out there in LA. I think they don't really love him. They've been trying to replace him for 2 years. They just can't because everybody else keeps getting injured. I think they brought in Blake Corum to take over, and I think he will. We've already seen now Kyron Williams has got an ankle injury, and he's going to miss the first part of camp, so we're going to see a lot of Blake Corum. So if I'm going this year, it's Blake Corum. If I'm going long-term, it's Trey Benson, but it's really close. I think I'd probably go Blake Corum all the time just because he's going to get volume this year. Because here's the thing, if both Trey Benson and Blake Corum are bust, I'm going to know that Blake Corum is a bust this year before I'll know about Trey Benson.
Fair enough. Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright. Who else we got over here? Running back. Actually, honestly, I want to know the difference between those two. Who are you taking a shot on? Yeah, Jalen Wright, the speedster in Miami, can bust. We saw what HN did last year, right? For those 4 games or those 3 games. Marshawn Lloyd, they can't seem to get it right in Green Bay for the running back position. Who are you taking a chance on late second round?
I would take Jalen Wright. I think he's the better player. I think he gets factored in more this year. Marshawn Lloyd, to me, was not a great pick by Green Bay. They brought in Josh Jacobs. I know that contract is kind of structured to be a 1-year thing, and maybe they can move off him, but I think they play him for 2 years. They brought back A.J. Dillon, which shows me that they were like, hey, we need someone who knows the system. I worry that Marshawn Lloyd's not going to get worked in. When you listen to Mike McDaniels talk about football, it's different. He talks about football like it's a math equation on some level. He just talks about it in a different aspect, how they can get this meter, and he's always starts computing things. It's like that meme where the numbers are floating around his head. That's what I think happens with him. I think he's going to find a way of getting Jalen Wright the ball. Raheem Mostert's there. Jalen Wright profiles a lot like Raheem Mostert. Now Raheem Mostert's 47 years old. He's triple Justin's age, right? So I think it's going to be super easy for him to miss some time. We've seen Devon A. Chain miss some time because he's a smaller back. So I think there's a clearer pathway for Jalen Wright to get in there this year.
I dig it. Justin, you're just taking all the shots tonight. You're taking all the shots tonight. Hey, Dave's not here. Who else are we going to rag on? For real. If it's not Dave, it's you, right? All right. I'll just leave it at that. We are running a little late. Dustin, thank you for keeping on this late. There's a couple more questions I want to ask you. Justin, if you have anything, by the way, just butt in. Mute me. You're the producer. You can kick me out anytime you want.
I could literally just mute you.
You could. You could. And I'd allow it. I want to know these 3rd round, 4th round guys. Who's going to surprise? Who's the Puka of this year? We all want to know. Who is the Puka? Who's the Eli Mitchell? Who's going to break out for at least 1 or 2 seasons?
I'll tell you who it's not. It's not Ben Sinnott. What are we doing here, people, at 301? Ben Sinnott is
you.
not going to be good. He's just not going to be good. You have an offense that
you.
doesn't like. He's behind Zach Ertz. He's behind Terry McLaurin. He's probably behind Jahan Dotson. He might be behind
Luke
the wide receiver they
McCaffrey.
drafted. Yeah, Luke McCaffrey. His profile's not that great. Like everybody's like, oh, no, he's just not that good. Like he's just not going to be good. Zach Ertz is going to take all those targets. Ben Sinnott at 301 is a complete overpay. I don't understand it. I get it. The film is good, but I just don't see it in Washington and on a team that also wants to run the ball. He's also behind Austin Eckler in targets. I don't get Ben Sinnott at 301. If I'm looking in the third round for this breakout guy, for me, it is probably Bucky Irving. I think he's the clear pass catching back for Tampa Bay. Rashad White is not good. Like, let's just face it. Rashad White is not good. He is a plotter who gets on volume, who rushes for like 2 yards a carry. He can't really catch, right? They had Leonard Fournette his rookie year because he couldn't catch. They kept around whoever the old guy they had, Chase Edmonds, for the longest. Like, they still have him. Bucky Irvin's going to come and be the third down guy on a team with Baker Mayfield, who likes to dump the ball off. Bucky Irvin's going to surprise a lot of people this year. He's going as, I think, let's see, he is what, running back 8? I think he's more like running back 5 or 6 for me. He should be a late second round pick. The fact that he's going the end of the third round, there's huge value there. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking at Bucky Irvin, and I don't know what you're doing drafting Ben Sinnott.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%.
I can't believe that Ben Sinnott is tight end 2 right now. That's the killer right now, because I think Jatavian Sanders has a better shot at being a producing tight end than Ben Sinnott. Watch, we're going to go back to this show in like 6 months and we're going to be like, wow, Ben Sinnott is Sam Laporta 2.0.
No.
But
we're going to go back 2 years from now and go, oh, Ben Sinnott is, Firsker, like he's a blocky tight end. When I talked to Ben Sinnott at the combine, I said, you can call one play. What do you call it? He goes, I'm going to call a smash like end zone so I can just go and smash people. He wants to block. That's what he wants to do. That's what he gets excited about. I asked everyone else, they were like, I'm running, all verts, or I'm running this cool play where I get open or I throw the ball. He was like, I block. Cool. I see this comment, is Theo Johnson in round 3? He's in round 4. I think Theo Johnson has a better pathway to opportunity than Ben Sinnott. I had Theo Johnson. Hot take. I had Theo Johnson at one point as my tight end 1 if Darren Waller retired. If Darren Waller retires, I think Theo Johnson is my tight end 1 in this draft class.
Wow.
That's a hot take.
That's
going to be a quote later, but
I didn't know Darren Waller was still alive.
He is debating whether or not retiring still. So
yeah.
Of rounds 3 and 4, guys, other than Bucky Irving, I'm looking at guys like Luke McCaffrey. I think he has a chance at actually doing well in Washington. He doesn't have to be the wide receiver 1, similar to like Puka Nacua. And he's going to have that the rookie quarterback to pair up with. I think that's going to be a good shot. And he comes from the McCaffrey genes. Vital with the Chargers. I know I'm a big Gus Bus fan, but you can't just sign the entire Ravens backfield and still expect to get good production. I think Vital can come in there and actually do what they know. Okay.
I'm not getting Joshua Kelly and CJ Spillard and Isaiah Spillard, and I'm not doing it. I'm not playing the game.
This is different. This is different. The Chargers are literally going to be a running team.
I'm out. I know.
Do we not know anything about John Harbaugh? They are a running team.
Listen, I'm just messing with you. But seriously, how many times have I been burnt? And you all have all been burnt on all these guys.
I hate that guy.
Larry Roundtree, all those guys.
I'm tired of it. I know it's
a different system.
Yes, I understand that. But man, it's frustrating.
At 307, I'm fine with it.
To see the same teams make the same mistakes over and over and over, it's frustrating. It really is. It is, Justin. Just wanted to. I'm sorry if I killed your buzz, dude. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You want Brendan Rice, so
I took him in a couple leagues. I'm in Dustin. I am in a 32-man dynasty league, no duplicates, IDP.
Oof.
And I have Brendan Rice as my wide receiver 2, right behind Waddle. I am not looking at the league whatsoever, but I have the best IDP players there is possible.
I mean, you could do worse than Brendan Rice. You could be drafting Malachi Corley, who's going to be absolute trash this year. You could be drafting, Des Walker. You could be drafting a Braylon Allen or a Will Shipley, who aren't going to see time at all. So I think Brendan Rice is going to get play.
I have a question on that. Des Walker, right? Wide receiver 20 right now. Why is anyone drafting him over a Theo Johnson or a anyone, because we all know the targets are very limited there in Baltimore. If you're not Zay Flowers, if you're not the tight end that's in the system right now, whether it be Mark Andrews or Likely, there's no targets left for you. There's nothing. So I think that's just such a throwaway, such a waste of a pick to pick any receiver from Baltimore that's not Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Likely if he's in. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Right, he's a mini Zay Flowers. Like I want someone who's different. If they had drafted a big, tall receiver, I'd be different. But when you draft basically a clone of Zay Flowers to basically be Zay Flowers understudy, I'm out. Like I don't need you there. I'll give me Rashad Bateman. Like give me someone who's actually going to play on 2 receiver sets, 3 receiver sets. Des Walker probably doesn't get in unless Zay Flowers is injured or needs a breather because he's been running wind sprints down there catching balls. I get it. The 3rd and 4th round for me, there's so many landmines that people are just hitting right now, and I'm going, you just ruined that pick. There's so many gold there that I think that's there. I mean, Tyrone Tracy at 401, Dylan Lobby at 410, Theo Johnson 407, Spencer Rattler at 48. Steal of the draft right there. Give me Spencer Rattler all day.
Spencer Rattler.
Listen, Spencer Rattler 2 years ago was talked about as the #1 overall pick. And he's backing up Derek Carr, who is hot trash. Mm-hmm. If not for his contract, the Saints might start Spencer Rattler at some point this year. There's a good chance Derek Carr just gets benched because he's just that bad. And you're talking about a team that has Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson, Raheed Shaheed, Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Spencer Rattler is good. Real good. Like I had him up there like as QB, I think 6 in my rankings at one point. Now he fell. Give me Spencer Rattler in the 4th round over a Des Walker and a Malik Washington and a Will Shipley and a Braylon Allen. Give me a guy who has a chance to start this year and be really good. And 2 years ago, we were talking about the 101. That's what happened with Brock Purdy. Here's the thing, Brock Purdy, Mr. Relevant. 2 years before that, Brock Purdy was QB3 coming out. If he would have came out, he was QB3. They were talking about him as the 3rd best quarterback. He stayed for another year, had not a great year. Other guys stepped up and he fell, and people didn't talk to him. He fell to Mr. Relevant, and we've seen with Brock Purdy, he's been good. Same thing happened with Spencer Rattler. Everybody goes, oh, we know what he is. We watched the documentary. We watched Netflix. Blah, 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 and they passed on him. When you talk about a guy that at one point was the presumed #1 overall pick, he is good talent, and he's going to be there, and he's going to start for Derek Carr this year at some point.
Wow. That is going to be a quote, because that's something.
Quote it. Book it.
We're booking it.
I'm fine with that, because Spencer Rattler is who I drafted in that rookie draft, or the rookie league.
So, you did? Dude, Dustin,
like
I know.
$12.
Real quick, I'm so over that draft. Can we just end it? Can we just end it how it is? I'm done. No. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm annoyed. I've missed over the weekend. It didn't stop, and I didn't look at it one time. I missed at least 5 players without even looking.
Oh my! The other league didn't. The league didn't stop, and you didn't complain about that.
Those are 12
Justin,
hour clocks.
We have a new startup dynasty league that's in the auction through Sleeper, which is awful. But it is only rookies. We're only playing rookies, and then next year we'll add the new rookies. And then
so it's one of those progressive. So, we would talk about that on Twitter. I saw that.
Yep. So I got that one going. And Josh hates it.
I hate it.
You have to hit on some of these cheaper guys in that kind of format. You have to hit on Ryan Florno, who I really like, who's going at 604, which is outrageous.
Stop telling Josh players he can't keep getting more players.
Josh, you can hit me up later.
Josh is upset. He spent $203 on Xavier Worthy out of a $400 budget, and he's upset that he has no money now. So
I didn't think I was going to win him. Let me tell you something. The day before, I had Malik Neighbors at like 203. I'm like, there's 10 minutes left. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'll take this all day. And then it went from 203 to like 281 in 5 seconds. We're all bid. Everyone's just bid. I'm smashing the offer button. FF Tony smashing the button. Mike smashing everyone's smashing the button. And then what I do, because I wasn't going to give up, I was ready to go max out. I was going to max out. Marvin Harrison maxed out at 388. I was going to do the same thing. I started scrolling through the players on the ADP list, not remembering to rebid again. Now, I thought everyone was just going back and forth. Like, let me just look and see like who's left. Like, did I forget someone? Maybe I'll just, I'll get someone cheaper. By the time I looked back up to smash the button again, he was already won. I was so pissed. I was
Marvin?
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Remember that morning? Yeah, that was the most intense morning of my life. Dustin, it went
Yeah.
on for like 5 minutes straight of just bid. And every time you bid, it resets 10 seconds.
Oh,
We had a
We're just
guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the second one off the board, and we had
$388.
the guy immediately like 388, which was the max bid, and he hasn't been
out of
able
a
to draft
$400
yet.
budget.
Out of a $400 budget. There's 13 starting spots, so we have a quarterback, a running back, wide receiver, 5 flex, a D line, a linebacker, and a DB.
Wow.
And then also punt and kick return yards do count for points. So
Okay.
it gets your wide receivers and running backs more points than your flex positions. And QBs are only 2 points per passing touchdown for the first like couple years. And then it goes up
Okay,
to
it makes
normal
sense.
4.
Because some guys
So
aren't going to have starting quarterbacks.
I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. And then like tight ends are a full extra point. Like wide receivers get, I think, 0.5 extra points and running backs get 0.25 extra for receptions on top of the 1. So like it's a tiered league to make it
Makes
better.
sense. You gotta max out because quarterbacks would just obviously dominate.
So like
telling
Jaden
you-
Daniels is gonna absolutely dominate and it's gonna suck. But Jaden Daniels also went for 293 out of a $400.
Okay,
budget,
so that's not too bad. But right, if Jaden Daniels busts, that guy is sunk.
He has
I got
Chop Robinson and Cooper. So
Yeah.
that's it so far.
I got Jonathan Brooks for 128.
That's pretty good.
That's actually
Yeah.
solid. I
That's
can't
really
really
good.
that. So.
I'll give you guys one name that's not being talked about enough because he wasn't actually drafted, and that's Louis Rees-Zemet for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the rugby player that got signed.
Mhm.
He's new, he's new, but he is electric. If you watch his rugby highlights, the speed, the vision, the elusiveness, Kansas City's going to find a way to use him, especially with these new kickoff rules. It's basically like a rugby play, right? Where they're all static. Luis Rees-Zemet, he's 6'02".
Oh, yes.
He's running back 18. You watch, just when this is done, everyone that's watching, Google his highlights.
Yes.
You will go, oh my gosh, this guy's
I
electric.
forgot
He's
about him. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't drafted. He was an IPP player, so international player profile,
Yeah.
got signed to a 3-year deal at decent money. And let's face it, who do they have as running backs? They have Pacheco, and then they have Clyde Edwards-Nowhere, and then Luis Rees-Zemet. So,
Josh,
I mean, he's a guy
waiting for you to forget about this guy before I bid on nominate.
There you go. Bid on him. Get him for a couple bucks, especially with the kickoff rules, because that is basically a rugby play now for him, and he knows what to do. He knows how to seal a line of guys and pick his way through. You watch his highlights. I've been talking to people about him before the combine. He's the guy I would go after. He's going at 6'02". Like, he's there. Him and Ryan Flournoy in the 6th round. Those are gold if you can get them. Like, they're just going to produce a ton.
Any of you watching this that are in the started from the bottom league, you will not be in this league next year. If you draft them.
They're booted. No, man, don't boot them for taking great advice. Well, speaking of great advice, Dustin, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us where we can find you, any upcoming projects, anything coming out.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the DUnit13. I am the content director for Dynasty Pros. We're having some website issues right now. We're in a dispute with our hosting person, so our website's been down for the week, which is not fun. I have a really fun project that actually Justin helped me work on a little bit. It's a new consistency metric, is not quite the way you should put it, but that's kind of what it is. It's a new metric I came up with for basically kind of consistency, and then also a boom bust rating on some level. That's the basic way of putting it for terms that people know. So I'm excited for that to eventually roll out whenever we get our website up and running. I might actually just launch it on a Patreon just to get it out there for people, because it's really good for best ball. It's a roster builder management tool. But find me on Twitter. That's the best place. My DMs are always open. You can shoot me questions, trades, player questions, all that kind of stuff. I've got 3 or 4 people who just shoot me questions all the time. Like, I got offered this trade. I'm like, wait, you got to tell me your team again, because I forget. But I'm always there. My goal and my job as a fantasy analyst is to help people have fun playing fantasy. So whether that's trading, whether that's winning, whether that's community, whether that's whatever, I'm there to help you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. So find me on Twitter at the DUnit13. That's the best place to find all my stuff.
Thank you. It's a good follow. I've been following you since day one, seeing the progress, seeing everything. It's been awesome. And it's true. You can literally DM him. He will make time, and he right back. Me, on the other hand, at Josh Kimmel OUS, I am on Twitter maybe 10 minutes a week now. But I'm still there. But you can DM me.
Pokemon and wrestling.
Pokemon Go and wrestling. Those are my two.
So Josh, we're gonna have to get on for a wrestling podcast at some point.
Yes.
You
Yes.
just
Yeah.
made his day. You just
Hold
made
on.
his day.
Hold on, because AEW's on right now. Are we an AEW guy? Are we just both? Are we?
I'm a WWE guy. I look at wrestling very different. I look at it from a writer's point of view, like how does this tell a story and how does it continue a story and how do they set up stories? The matches themselves are secondary to me. Like, yeah, that's a cool match. I want to tell the story. I look at it for everything through that lens.
That's all I gotta say. That's my kind of wrestling right there. AEW did do that at the beginning, not so much right now, but it is what it is. Yes, you can follow me at Josh Kimmel OUS on the Finstock Sports Network, where I also holds barred, which we're gonna have Dustin on very, very, very soon, hopefully. You can watch No Holds Barred, by the way. We are picked up by a sports app, Go Sports Live app, every single Sunday night, 7 p.m. I just want to plug that out here.
I think
Bobby
you're
would
on
be
the
happy with
Roku
that.
channel too from that.
I
as
am on the
well.
Roku channel. I'm on Tubi. I'm a big star. Look, I'm a big deal.
Big star now.
Kind of a big deal.
And you can find Justin at Justin Barley. None of this would
I
honestly.
do respond to DMs
He
on
does.
Twitter. So.
And he
He
texts me
does.
nonstop, 6 a.m., 7
And I'll
a.m.
help you
Josh,
with spreadsheets and
Justin has
graphics
helped. I said,
and-
Justin, like, I need help with this spreadsheet. I don't know what to do.
at
Justin's
any
the
time of the
greatest.
day.
You could also follow. He's not here, but at Viking Dave. He does a lot. Listen, we love Dave here. We wish he was here tonight. Dustin, I wish you would have met Dave. I really do.
Yeah.
He would have changed
Next
your
time.
life. Change it next time, Dave.
He will definitely change your life, whether that's for the good or the bad. He will definitely change your life. He has for me, at least. So.
Dave, we love you if you're watching. Next week we'll be back. I don't really know the show topic, but Justin sure does. So make sure you follow us on Twitter, X at OUSFF Pod. Make sure you go to our website, OUSFFpod.com. Sign up for Super League. Guys, till next week, we're out of here. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.